Pinky, why aren't you out with the herd? My two oldest girls, Pinky and Rapunzel. Everybody else is out there, just kind of doing their thing. And my old girls, my two old ladies, they're in here. They're staying in here. Yeah, sweet babies. But it just, oh, it makes me so sad seeing you guys in here, not out with the herd. It's just such a stark reminder that, you know, everything has an expiration date on it. I don't want to look at them and think there's an expiration date because they're just so sweet. And honestly, these guys have been with me the longest. So just even them not wanting to go out with the rest of my herd just kind of hurts me because it's just a reminder that their time is limited. We need to be enjoying it and probably retiring these girls. So while Rapunzel looks amazing and Pinky has held up amazingly well too, and both these girls are my highest appraised does. I think that after this kidding for these guys, this will probably be their last king. Now Rapunzel's 11. Are you 11? Or are you going to be 11? You're either 10 or 11. Going on 11 or 12. So she is getting to that point where it's time for her to just be an old grandma goat. Now, I do know lots of dairy goats that have gone on to be super duper productive and they're just super healthy. Their body can sustain things and I kind of just play it by feels. But this, like, and it's not super hot out today. Like, it's a little warm. It's October and we're still in the 80s. But like just seeing them like not out with the herd, it's just, I don't know, like it just bothers me a little bit because I don't want them to, I don't know if I could imagine my Nigerian Dwarf herd without them, but it's just hard sometimes seeing that reminder. And it looks like some of them heard me. They heard me in here. So they're coming. Hi. Welcome back. Oh, what? Oh, we got a whole nother wave coming. Oh, Lord. It's only because they think there's food. And Yuri thinks there's food. And Mighty Mouse thinks there's food. They all think there's food. There's no food, Lily. There's no food, Lily. Oh, bless its little heart. See, now, I think the rest, actually the rest are coming. You can see them. They're flying. Once they think that there's a chance that somebody is getting a treat or some kind of special treatment that they aren't getting, they are the quickest animals. Look at all of them coming in. Oh boy, I have way too many goats, y'all. And an update on this girl. So, I don't know if she will cycle like everybody else, but guys, this is Barracuda. Barracuda was who I thought might be a free martin, was not a free martin, put a cedar in, pulled it, and she was in a raging heat. We are at like day 25 post-breeding, and it didn't seem like she cycled again. So I am praying that she stuck. I'm praying that you stuck, you silly girl. Praying that you stuck. So it won't be long before I'm ultrasounding Barracuda, and I could honestly probably do a blood test. I have those Prego sticks over there. I think it's 23 days that that they can tell you, but honestly, like day 28, which I'm really close at this point, I should be able to see if there's something hiding in there. And honestly, I have several other does that I really need to ultrasound. I'm almost positive, like Mighty Mouse sitting right here. She short cycled or recycled along with Twerk, who I thought was bred. She short cycled and I put her back in with Stifler. So I'm really hoping that she stuck, but honestly, like she cycled for like a few days afterwards. So I don't know how to, ow, you bit me, look, bit me underneath the arm, like in the turd. But I'm hoping that maybe she stuck this last time. See, they just get so lippy. Get down. I don't like that. I don't like when they bite me hard like that. But I'm hoping that she stuck. If she didn't, then we'll just breed her again. She's silly. But it might be a godsend because that was one of those where she miscarried last year. Was really looking forward to the kids. She didn't miscarry. She had kids that I'm almost positive were not alive. There's a whole video of it in my recap on kidding season because I always get behind during kidding season. And I was going to breed her for like early January kids because like, well, she doesn't really need to show, but the more I look at her, the more I think like she needs to go back into showing. Front end needs some work, but honestly, I think she's almost in the age doe. Yes, Yuri. She's going to be a 4-year-old. I think she'd be in a 4-year-old class this year, this upcoming year. And honestly, guys, she's got the best top line, so level on the move, like is level, hips to pins, thurl to thurl. Like she's got my best rump in my herd. So pairing her up with Stifler hopefully will give me more really well rumped ladies. But if she doesn't take with Stifler and she comes back in after I've gotten my semen from the buck collection, then she might actually be an AI candidate. I could watch her. Guys, I could AI 5 and 6 does. I could AI them a couple times and not get anything. And that's just part of it. But I'm trying to learn a lot while I can by watching all of the YouTubers that do it. I'm watching all of their videos. I'm learning all the things. I've been taking good notes on my girls' heats. That's why I'm like, I'm worried if I were to do Mighty Mouse because her heat is so intense and it goes for so long. But then again, maybe I'll hit the right timing and I'll get really, really nice kids from it. So I don't know. Which reminds me, guys, buck collection is in a couple of days. It's Friday. It's next Wednesday. On October 8th, we're going to be going to a farm where we're going to have Lunar and Stifler collected, but we're also going to be picking up some other really exciting sires. So I'm getting bucks from Old Mountain Farm, Moray Farm, Wolfhaven. I've got a couple from Wolfhaven coming. Wolfhaven, Agape's Prize. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, in Primrose Hill. Now there have been a couple that have been out there that I've been kind of like, it's hard. You can really shop till you drop on semen. I know that sounds so weird, but it's really hard to not just buy a lot of it because the options that you have are so much more vast than what I would ever be able to see or take a doe to in real life. Especially for the prices for the semen. Now, like, usually semen comes in like straws of 5 straws. So you'd be like, oh, it's 5 straws for $250, which really, when you break that out, is about $50 per straw. But I would never be able to get my doe to a live breeding to these bucks, mostly because of location, but also with biosecurity. A lot of herds are closed. Like, they will not let you do like driveway breedings with their really, really nice stock. So $50 for a shot in the dark is like winning the lottery. So for me, it's really hard not to kind of buy all those chances at a really nice improvement, whether it's a doe or a buck. Now, does that mean that I'm guaranteed to get great animals? Nope, it's not. It's like all breeding. It's rolling a genetic dice, but the thought that I could is just really alluring. And you guys know me, I get bored and I want to do things new and interesting, and we're down to 3 bucks on our property, and I'm trying to get my doe herd under control, which I've done actually a pretty good job, guys. Like, between the 30 buck kids that were born here this year and the does that I've cut, I think I've sold like 40 animals this year. 40 animals. And that's probably just like a really safe number, but I'm still sitting at like 50 animals total on my property. So I almost cut them in half this year. So it's hard, because then I'm getting to the point where like these are all girls that I love or I think have like lots and lots of potential, and it just makes it so difficult to make really good cuts. Then you throw in the option of possibly picking any one of these really beautiful ladies out here that are all improvements or all have some type of quality that I really love and want my herd, and toss in the fact that I could pair them with some really, really nice animals and get even better quality does is just kind of mind-boggling to me, and it makes the whole cutting that much more difficult. But what I will say in relationship to that makes cutting your herd a lot more difficult, it also, when you bring in good genetics, like really good genetics that improve daughters almost immediately, it's really hard to ignore the quality. it's really hard to not look at that animal and an animal that's from not a subpar breeding, but like just genetically, conformationally, maybe production wise. There's a really big difference. And when you start to see it, because nobody has a trained eye at it right away, it takes a lot of practice to go out into your herd and to look at them and to really pick them apart and actually know what a good animal looks like and what you are looking for in order to better your herd. But then when you do, when you finally bring in an animal, like Stifler has done it big time, and so has Lunar. Both of their kids, when they came out, I was like, there's a big difference. And there's a lot of consistency genetically when it comes to conformation. Like I'm seeing, because at this point now Stifler, I've only got one generation of him out into my herd. I have 2 or 3 generations on the ground now from Lunar. He's a 3-year-old, and I've had him since he left his farm, honestly. I've got daughters that I'll have a lot of daughters freshening. I'll have a couple of daughters that are second fresheners. But I'm telling you, like, you can just tell now, after those generations have hit the ground, that you start to see a lot of consistency. And what I mean by that is, you know, what are the good traits that your bucks are throwing and what are the bad traits? Like, what are the traits that you really need to work on? Because then based off of that, because flu was here for a long time, we used love bug for a lot of different does. And at this point, like, I knew consistently what they were going to throw. Now, I didn't know conformationally, even by going to shows. I didn't really know what was good or bad until I brought in good bucks. And then it was a pretty stark reminder of who excels in general appearance, who's throwing me really good feet, who's throwing me good wide rumps, or maybe are they improving everything, but my rump angles aren't the best, which there's a lot of debate on rump angles anyways, like hips to pins, mostly rump angle is what I'm talking about when it comes to difficulty kidding versus there not being difficulty kidding. So there's that. It's been a really, really interesting experience. And honestly, some of the bucks that I picked, I looked back into Stifler and Lunar's pedigrees, and some of these animals are going to be on top and bottom. So it will be like a light line breeding. But that also means that because you're working with those specific genetics, and because I know what those bucks are throwing, I know what I can expect when it comes to consistency. When you outcross, if you ever see someone talking about, I have lots of outcrosses, or I'm going to let this doe go because she's a total outcross, it means that these are genetics that, while I have genetics here that I work with a lot, this is a total outlier. So she does not share any genetics with what I'm currently working with. Which means that they're not quite sure what that animal is going to throw. Like the consistency is not guaranteed. Whereas like if you know you're working with a set amount of genetics, that you can expect what type of animal to get. Now, does that mean some people line breed heavy? Yeah, there's a lot of discussion out in the dairy goat world around how deep will you line breed, how high a percentage. I've seen some really nice animals out there, and go look up their pedigrees, 25% line breeding, which means that 25% of their genetic material is shared. Which is technically inbreeding. So inbreeding is when it goes horribly wrong, and line breeding is when it goes wonderfully right. So we do have some ladies here that we will be taking back and crossing over some of those genetics. I do have Zip, who I'm going to cross with Taki. Zip and Taki share a lot of genetic material. For me, it's not, I think, what is it? It's like a 7 or an 8% in line breeding, but it's on animals that I like. So that's a whole portion of the ADG Genetics website that you can go into and look at. If you're getting into breeding, guys, I'm going to tell you, get really familiar with the ADG Genetics and being able to go in there and look and to understand what it is that you're looking at. Even for bucks that have been used a lot or have had lots of daughters who have linear appraised a lot, because linear appraisals are a sire proving program. If they have enough daughters that have been appraised, you can actually go in and look at them like almost like a trading card stat, like on average, what are their rumps scoring? On average, what are they linear appraising? And then there's the database can be pulled just for sires for certain traits. So if you know you have a trait in your herd that you really need to strengthen, like you need maybe really good feet, or you need really, really high general appearance or strength, you need to add something like that. If a buck has been used heavily and they have lots of daughters that have been appraised, they keep all of those stats for the buck, so that you can go in and see, okay, on average, his daughters that have been appraised, he might have a large percentage of daughters that have not been appraised, mind you, but the daughters that have been appraised, this is on average what these animals are showing. And because the buck is part of that breeding, that goes to his stats. I hope that makes a lot of sense. And I'm talking a lot of genetic jargon, but it's important for people that get into breeding dairy goats, and specifically for Nigerian dwarfs, because lots of us are focusing on different portions of traits when it comes to our herd. I've talked to lots of dairy goat enthusiasts in different breeds. Like, we don't even look at feet. And I want to be like, I can tell, like, not because like I'm snubbing the animal, but just because of like animals walk into rings and it's like, there's like a trait where you're like, they just all have bad feet, or they all just have really posty back legs. And sometimes that's because genetically, like, those breeders aren't pinpointing that. And this is not putting Nigerian breeders up here, but because Nigerians are pretty new, and because there's a ton, there's so much saturation. Really, the breeders that are in it for conformation or for bettering the breed are really pinpointing some specific traits, and they're working to eliminate bad traits. Now, bad traits for conformation for Nigerian dwarf goats are things that do not lend themselves to the doe or the buck being productive and living a really long life. Productivity is important, but if an animal has really bad feet, and they eventually break down and they can't stay on their feet for very long to go into graze and to pull in all the calories that they need in order to produce milk, that affects their production, and it affects their longevity, because they can't get around forever on bad feet. So you really want to shoot for good feet. Rump angles when it comes to birthing, rump width when it comes to birthing. If they don't have really nice wide rumps or good angled rumps from hips to pins, it can affect their birthing. Sorry, Rapunzel is just like, you can talk, but you have to pet me while you're here. But that can affect a doe's birthing experiences, which then can lead to maybe C-sections, losing kids because you can't get them positioned, or they cannot pass through the birth canal due to some structural issues. So sometimes you'll see a lot of people will focus on specific traits, and that's great. Honestly, we just need to I'm really trying to figure out what trait my herd needs. And from what I can tell, general appearance is like the big thing. I know nobody in my herd scored above a G in general appearance. I think I may have had like 1V, which general appearance is like this on the scorecard. So it's a compilation of different things. Took me a long time to really wrap my head around general appearance, but it's very important, and it's worth a lot on the scorecard, especially when it comes to bucks and junior does, because they don't have a mammary to score off of. So a lot of those points go back into general appearance. I feel like it's 55%. 55 points out of 100 is general appearance for junior does, I think, and then I think it's 35 in senior does. I'll have to look, but here's and I will link down in the description below a link to the unified scorecard for the American Dairy Goat Association if anybody's interested in that. Enough talking about this jargon though. It's probably boring for a lot of people. It's not boring for me. I could talk about it all day long.